I'm Kevin, otherwise known as Forum BX257, here to bring you our old G.I. Joe toy review. And today I'll be doing one of my top 10 favorite figures, the G.I. Joe Arctic Trooper, the 1983 Snow Job. Now, unfortunately, the codename Snow Job has kind of a negative connotation nowadays. However, when this figure was made, I'm fairly certain what they meant by Snow Job was con artist slang for persuading a victim. And of course, that is part of Snow Job's personality, according to his file card. In his first comic book appearance, in number 11, back in May of 1983, he definitely had that sort of con artist type personality. Unfortunately, it doesn't really carry through to the rest of his appearances over the years. And it certainly doesn't carry over into his first cartoon appearance, which was in the five-parter 1983 A Real American Hero miniseries, in which he appeared in part 2. Snow Job is actually fairly interesting, as the figure was actually released in 1983, 1984, and 1985. So he was available for 3 years in a row. Even though he wasn't available as a mail order, he was available in a J.C. Penney 3-pack in 1983 with Torpedo and Tripwire, and again in 1985 with Duke and Blowtorch. Snow Job has, well, I'll be rather honest, a very plain sculpt to him. But that didn't stop Hasbro from reissuing the figure quite a few times, almost over a 25-year span. Strangely enough, even though the entire figure was reproduced a couple of times, the upper arms have not been. I'm not quite sure what happened to the mold of the upper part of the arms. Snow Job comes with a rifle called an XMLR-3A laser rifle, and you'll probably notice that this is the same design which was used primarily in the cartoon. Interestingly enough, I think the reason why they were using this in the cartoon, as opposed to, let's say, an M16, which probably would have been a bit more iconic for soldiers, is because the cartoon had lasers in it, and this was really the first and only rather rifle-shaped laser rifle that the G.I. Joes had. He also comes with a polar pack, upon which you could put his ski poles on, as well as the skis. And this is one of the reasons why I so like this figure, is because you could put everything right onto the polar pack, and you wouldn't have to be sort of pigeonholed into playing with this figure as a skier alone. You could just have everything all just kind of put away, and you can just have him as a rifleman instead. One thing you really do have to be careful of is pulling the skis and the ski poles on and off of the polar pack, because I have noticed that some people have snapped these in half, or snapped the bottom portions of the poles off by yanking them upwards. And it seems like this would be a natural thing to do, just sort of yank it upwards and out of the polar pack, rather than just sort of, you'd have to almost bend it out of the pegs in here. But that's really the way you have to do it. If you yank it upwards, this bottom portion of the pole will just snap right off. Unfortunately, Snow Job is really susceptible to yellowing, and he's primarily one of the figures that a lot of people dunk into hydrogen peroxide in order to whiten them up. One sort of rather unfortunate thing is, with the skis, is that Snow Job's feet are rather kind of small, meaning that his skis are meant almost exclusively for Snow Job, or at least the Snow Job mold. So if you take a figure like Iceberg and you try to put his feet into the skis, well, they do sort of fit. Iceberg's feet are just a little bit too big. One interesting thing about being a Canadian collector is that I get to see a lot of the Canadian file cards, and they're not usually all that interesting because they've abridged the text in order to put some French language in there, as opposed to how the US file cards are. However, on a very few of them, some of them have changed the date, the place of birth. Well, that's all the time I have right now. Please check out my Facebook page for more information and behind the scenes photos for these reviews. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for next time to see another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review. See you then.